This is our sunflower still life art project. So you start out with a large piece of paper. You're going to put your name on it, very first thing. I'm putting my name on the back. You can do that too. So I'll just flip it over. And I'm going to show you what I am looking at here. I'm looking at the vase of sunflowers, because when you make a still life, you draw what you see in front of you. A still life is a drawing or painting of an object you see in front of you. So I'm going to be looking at these sunflowers the whole time I draw. So I'm going to start out by drawing the vase, and I'm going to draw it nice and big on the paper, not too big because I want my flowers to fit. But I want my whole drawing to fill the paper, so I'm going to plan out how big I'm going to draw things. I'm also drawing very lightly with my pencil, because if I make a mistake, it's a lot easier to erase pencil that's drawn on lightly. I'm not drawing every single flower in the vase, just the ones that I can see really well from where I'm sitting. Some of the flowers are facing me, some are sideways. So I'm drawing them as I see them. I'm adding all the petals. This is taking me a long time, because I'm not just drawing any old random sunflowers. I'm drawing the ones that I see in front of me. They've got lots of petals. And the insides of the flowers. Drawing the leaves and the texture on the leaves. Taking my time, doing my best. Drawing exactly what I see in front of me. Alright, notice that I filled the paper top to bottom. One big drawing on a big piece of paper. Now you're going to color your sunflowers, leaves, and stems with oil pastels. And you're going to look at the colors in the sunflowers, and you'll kind of realize that the petals, the insides, the leaves, they're not just one solid color. So even though I'm starting out with yellow on my petals, those petals have a little bit of orange in them too. So I'm going to start with the yellow, and I'm filling in all the petals on one flower here. I'm not skipping any, I'm taking my time. And then I'm going to go in with some orange, because there's a little bit of orange in those petals. And when you do more than one color, things look a little more interesting and a little more realistic. So when you really look at them, they're not just one solid color. For the inside of my sunflower, I'm doing these little circles. I'm actually just kind of doing little swirly lines on the inside that look like circles, because these are the sunflower seeds, and I want to get that texture. Just like that. And then the inside part's a little bit lighter in the middle, a little bit darker on the outside, and again, just a little bit of orange, a little bit of yellow in there. So I'm adding more than one color. And for the leaves, I'm going to start out with the lighter green. Then I'm going to do the texture of the leaves with the darker green, and some of the leaves even have kind of a shadow, because they're underneath some of the flowers, so that darker green could be kind of a shadow too. So now I'm going to finish all of my flowers. I'm taking my time, I'm coloring everything. I'm doing the same thing where I'm doing more than one color on everything I see, making it look a little more realistic. So really take your time on this, make it look good. And color what you see. And again, we're only coloring the flowers, the leaves, and the stems. We're not going to color the vase with the oil pastels or anything really in the background. Just the flowers, the leaves, and the stems. Alright, now it's time for watercolors. So you've got a bucket with a paintbrush in it, and here's your watercolor palette that you're going to be sharing with the people at your table, and it's really important that you don't mix up the colors in that palette. So we're going to be first taking our brushes out of the water, just kind of dabbing them on the side. We don't need a sponge for this because watercolor needs water, so our brushes need to be a little wet. I'm going to start with the vase here. I'm going to paint my vase blue because the vase is blue. You could do a different color if you wanted to. Just going to dab it in the palette here, get some blue paint on there. And I'm going to do a painting technique called stippling. And stippling is when you dab the paint on in little dots instead of spreading it smoothly. Because Vincent van Gogh was part of the post-impressionism art style, and he used this kind of painting technique to make his paintings look more interesting. So we are going to use stippling, so dabbing the brush in kind of little dots. So we're not going back and forth smoothly like that. We're doing little dabs. And as you are stippling the paint on, I want you to make sure that your brush always has a good hair day. Because even when we're dabbing it like this, it can still have a good hair day. See? It's all nice and slick. Now there is a difference between stippling and smashing. This is smashing. So if you're smashing the brush hard there, it's going to have a bad hair day. It's going to get all messed up. And if it does get messed up a little bit, you'll just get it a little bit more wet, and it should be good to go. So gentle, gentle stippling, dabbing, not smashing. And your brush will have a good hair day. So I'm going to fill in the rest of my vase here. And again, you can do your vase in a different color if you want to. It doesn't have to be blue. And then I'm going to do the background all around the flowers. And you can use whatever colors you want for this. You can paint right over the oil pastel. It's called Wax Resist. It doesn't harm the oil pastel. It shows right through. Again, we're stippling the whole time. So gently dabbing that paint onto the paper. We're not spreading smoothly. Gently dab, dab, dabbing. And I'm filling the whole paper with color. Just like that. Alright. So I'm all done. My brush goes back in the bucket. My paints get closed up. Look how perfect they are. They're not mixed up. And I'm going to take my painting and the placemat together, and I'm going to bring it to the drying rack.